Okay. Thank you, Shantanu, and thank you, Pivot Zero X Hub. And this is my proud privilege to be the first speaker, first masterclass delivery person of this accelerator program. And I know that a large number of people here would be either startup founders, serial entrepreneurs, VCs, or wannabe startup founders. So, in that sense, this topic which I have chosen for the day would be very, very interesting. But this topic has a very specific bias.
Sunil sir, may I just interrupt for 2 minutes? The people are
Yeah.
saying that your voice is very soft, very low. Can you do something about it?
Okay. Just
Maybe you
let me
can
shift.
keep your mic near.
Let me shift to another speaker. Just a minute.
Okay, okay.
Correct? So in that sense, this session is going to be the advanced crypto founders or crypto holders or crypto VCs or crypto policymakers, all those categories. So in that sense, I'm assuming that everybody sitting here is a hardcore crypto person, because then you would be able to understand whatever I'm going to say today. So based upon this small uh, clarification, so let me start with the topic. See, uh, one thing which is more or less a granted reasoning around tokenizing. Why do we tokenize our ventures? On that, more or less, we have agreed. Though policymakers, regulators haven't agreed, but as founders, we have more or less agreed that there are some good reasons for tokenizing. And the first major good reasoning is that Web2 projects have a very, very long term dependency over VCs. So, in that sense, if VC funding is not there and you are not making profits, then you are virtually dead. And as comparatively, a direct contrast to this, token projects with a community can actually go far, far longer, even if you are not making profits. So these two are the major obvious reasons, but these are in a way external reasons. There are some civilizational reasons. Civilizational reasons means that time is changing. The character of age is now changing. So, in that sense, tokenization is in sync with zero boundary globalization. Because when you think of players like Swiggy, Zomato, Paytm, you basically think of a jurisdiction bound project, jurisdiction bound startup, which you can get a national company or something like that. But when you say tokenization, you basically assume that now you can operate in entire world. So the entire world is your playing field. So in that sense, tokenization is a very, very seriously global project from day one. So you can do it through a permissionless public chain like Ethereum, uh, layer 2 chains like Arbitrum, Polygon, and many more. So, in that sense, tokenization is a very obvious and natural choice for founders because the playing field is far, far larger. And the next important point, which is also very uh, common and shared norm, which is that it gives you something which is both a utility as well as a liquidity instrument, because token combines liquidity and utility both into one. And one more thing, which it is, some people call it a cryptocurrency. I don't call it cryptocurrency, because the fact here is that here it is not money, but a money like instrument. Now, why I don't call it currency? The reason here is that every crypto token is a network dependent token, which means within that network it can be exchanged, transferred, transacted easily, but outside that network it doesn't have its value. So when I say currency, currency basically should mean it is a universal medium of exchange, but crypto token doesn't fulfill that particular requirement. But it can work outside a banking system. So that's why it is a better money like instrument, because now it can travel all around the world. And if we imagine for a moment that banks have gone, next 10 years, banks have gone, and banking won't go. If banks are no more there and banking is still there, then who will be making transactions on your behalf? Payment transactions, lending transactions, and multiple other category of transactions. There will be AI avatars. People will create their AI avatars, AI algos, who would be doing transactions on their behalf. In that kind of a model, tokens will be fitting in very, very easily. And what you call electronic barter today, you will call that hyper barter tomorrow. So in next 10 years, this is what is going to happen. And some people might have started it already, but that thing is yet not the mainstream. And despite messy and punitive regulation, tokens are rising in number and volume. Now, why this figure is important to me? When I entered crypto world in 2012, there were only 3 coins, and total market cap of crypto world was less than $1 billion. So you can imagine that I have seen this number jumping from 3 coins to thousands of coins, and this figure from 1 billion to over 2000 billion, more than 2 trillion. So in that sense, I have seen that all these important points getting justified during these 12 years. And this importance, this good reasoning behind tokenization is only gathering flavor. So in that sense, I want you people to consider one very, very important paradox, because let's assume that all of you are founders or wannabe founders here, and you are starting to create a Web3, a token-led business. Now, there are lots of questions. I know startup people have lots of questions, but the fundamental paradox of a crypto founder is, what is the game you want to play? Token speculation or product adoption? Why I'm putting it right in front of you? The reason here is, these are the questions which you can't run away from. And whatever answer you give to these questions will be decided by your value system. So, of course, this is not an easy question, easy answer, but fundamentally, you have to entertain this particular paradox day in, day out. So this question will always be in your mind. What is the game you are playing? And this will never leave you. Second, who is your long-time friend? Token user or token investor? I know answers are not easy, because I'm myself a founder, so I know how difficult it is. But This is the question which you have to answer deep down. Without answering these questions, you can't create history. And then, what is your token for? A community with a value system, or just a few people who are looking to make 100x from your project? Friends, I'm not here to answer these questions because I can't answer these questions. You can answer these questions for yourself. What I'm saying is that this is a paradox. And this paradox is something which every crypto founder, every token project has to embrace. And that embracing may look easy, may look difficult, may look full of bliss, may look full of pain, whatever it may be. You have to embrace this paradox. Once you embrace this paradox, then you are a true crypto founder. Okay? So with this thing, and spirit of this particular slide is going to vibrate through rest of my presentation. Please remember that this is a paradox which doesn't have any easy resolution. Now, to make my point much obvious, I'm going to give you a very contrasting example, not one, rather 5 examples. And these are product examples, and particularly I have chosen these products because I love them. They are great product examples. I think if I had been even a small part of these 5 projects which I'm going to show you, I would have considered myself a very lucky person. But I'm not. But still, I appreciate, I worship these products. But despite that, I'm afraid to say these are the great product examples with bad token economies. And when you are in this kind of a jeopardy, in this kind of a situation, then there are some common features which would emerge, and they are these. First of all, these kinds of projects would have a visual analogy of a comet, a large comet like large head, and then there is a small long tail. So which means low token price over long period with short-lived hype. This is something which you will see in hundreds of crypto projects, even if they are good ones. In the bad ones, you will definitely see, even in the good ones, you will see that. Then, lack of capital reserves. Now, project is live, but project wants to grow. Grow in terms of features, in terms of partnerships, in terms of multiple other things. But it doesn't have capital, and it doesn't have more tokens. And token price is not rising, so it can issue more tokens. And then, if you want to incentivize your community, even then you have a low token base. So because of these 3-4 factors, 99% token projects look like AIDS patients with low immunity and high mortality. Because token economics is something which is not taken seriously. That's why I would sincerely suggest to every token project founder, focus on user adoption. All other stats are a distraction. All other stats, whatever is related with user adoption, fine. Everything else is a simple distraction. And to make my case very clear, I'm now going to show you 5 projects, and I'm saying it again. They are great products. I worship them. I salute their team, but still, these are the projects with bad token economies. The first one, graph, a immensely powerful project. If it is immensely powerful project, then why this is there? A great project. If you look at Graph's website, you will find nearly 3,000 subgraphs already created. Nearly billion queries are being created on a weekly basis. But despite that, this project, its token price is not rising. And if you see here, this is their total token supply, and this is their circulating supply. 90 more than 90% is already in circulation. So it means either this price was too high. Okay, people were too obsessed that this price would go even higher and even higher. But test of time has proven otherwise. So the issue here is, despite a product which is actually growing, but not growing at great pace, the token price is continuously drowning. So in that sense, there is something wrong here. And that something wrong is with the token economics. Because 90% tokens are already in the market, which should not have been the case. Second thing, basic attention token. I literally cherish this project, and a great project, no doubt about that. But if you look at total token supply and circulating token supply, 99% is already in circulation. And see, for last 2 years, price has remained almost in the same range. Now the issue here is, this project is not a dead project. Then why I'm criticizing this project? This project has 67 million brave monthly active users. But if you look at number of BAT token holders, it is 0.4 million token holders. So there is a very, very big gap between brave downloads, brave users, and token users. So it means at some juncture, the founders did not see that their product is Brave browser, but that token may not be used by every Brave browser user. Okay, so somehow, yes, tokenizing was a great choice, but 99% of tokens should not have been released. 20% tokens, or at the most 30% tokens, were fine, but 99%, it's too much. If they want to now restart another feature or AI feature or something new things into Brave browser, it won't be easy for them to raise new funding, because they have exhausted themselves from the existing token economy. Okay. Then Definity, which is now called Internet Computer, a great project. I think a project which said 5 years back that we are going to solve scalability problem with a very, very high throughput and very low latency, all those things. I think Definity was one of the early monolithic blockchain people who said that we will solve this problem far earlier than even Solana people were saying that. And Definity is a project which is in under development for at least around 7 to 8 years, at least. Despite that, this project See, more than 2 years, its token price is just sitting there. I know that bear markets are there and bear markets affect lots of tokens, but that's why I'm taking a large duration so that I want to show you why sustainable token economies are important. And again, if you look at here, around 90% of tokens are already in circulation, which means this price was too much. The issue here is that these are great products, great technology platforms, but somehow at some juncture they did not take care of the token economies, because ultimately all projects at the core are business projects. Whatever you build through technology is fine, but when people start using them, then they become business projects, social projects, and that's where token becomes far, far more important than it was initially envisaged for. And somehow people may not be able to look ready to look beyond 2 years, beyond 3 years, beyond 5 years. But when a product takes shape, enters the society, you have to look at long term. And I'm giving you good product examples with bad token economies deliberately, because great projects have done this mistake. So if you want to survive in Web3 world much, much longer, then sustainable token economies are critical, purely critical. Then Filecoin, of course, a great project, and I don't hate its token economics. It's somewhat not that balanced, but still it's good one. And the primary reason here is that they have yet not exhausted their token supply. They haven't. And this particular price jump is something which was, I think, maybe because they were not funded by retail public, they were funded by actually very accredited VCs. So in that sense, some exuberance might have come from that particular thing. But this project, despite a low token price, still has a bandwidth to manage its growth with giving more tokens to community, adding more tokens to developers to add more features, and giving more tokens to particularly those miners who give their space to Filecoin for data storage and data retrieval. So in that sense, Filecoin is the good choice among these five choices. But still, this is something which the gap between this price and this price is literally more than 90x. These kinds of price anomalies are bad for good projects, and particularly bad for their long-term survival. So based upon these examples, now I'm going to give the last one, push protocol. Absolutely great project. Absolutely. Because they identified a very, very unique use case, decentralized notifications. Nobody had ever tried it. But and 60% token supply is already out. At its peak, this project was $400 million. Okay, $400 million. And today it is, and that was token circulation market cap. And this is FDB, which means roughly around 12 million is its current value. Of course, not a bad value, not a bad value. But the point here is such a project in first year may get good support from early users or VCs. But a project has to look at a future which is not for 1 year, not for 5 years. It has to look beyond even 10 years. So if you have that kind of a long term horizon, then you will be able to create a sustainable token economy. Otherwise, you can easily say that this project should not have had 100 million tokens. It should have only 10 million tokens or even 5 million tokens. Why to have 100 million tokens? If you want to justify these questions, then you have to think long term and you have to allocate your token issuance based upon those kinds of time durations which you have in mind. So, based upon these things, I have made some principles, and of course, these principles you may not agree with, but since I'm already 12 years into this particular crypto world, so being a teacher for so many years, I have designed some principles. And the first obvious principle is if you are releasing full token supply in short duration, then it is a sure short suicide, pure suicide. And if you have a token issuance schedule, then it should be at least 10 years. At least. Look at Bitcoin. Their token schedule goes for 140 years. 140 years. Strange. And if you if you're asked, do you find any project which has designed its token issue schedule which can survive even which has planned for 100 years? Very difficult. And here I am saying at least 10 years, at least. But people release their entire token circulation in first 5 years, almost. Even if not 100%, almost 90%. So which is particularly in an emerging technology world, which is not a wise choice. And if you are not focused on,
I'm sorry, something went wrong. I just allow me. Sorry.
okay, so if you're not looking at duration, then there is a other parameter, which is user adoption. If let's assume you are planning for a user base which is 10 million. If you reach 10 million target within 2 years, fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you have a 10 million user target and you haven't reached even 20k users, and your total token circulation is 90% out, then you are stuck. So what I'm trying to say here is that your token circulation should be aligned with either user adoption or other stakeholder activity. If you are not taking those things into account, then may not be today, but after a few months or a few years, you will realize, oh my goodness, this is something which I should not have done. And a journal principle, if you want to survive long term, I would say 50% tokens for users, not for investors. Broadly, I make three distinctions. 50% users for 20% for founders, advisors, kind of a thing, and 30% for investors or other stakeholders. This is the broad ratio. Of course, you can make some adjustments here and there, but broadly, I feel crypto projects are social projects. And these social projects will rise because of social adoption. And here, the token is both an equity as well as a utility. So that's where user is far more important than shareholder. Because if you were in Web 2 world, in a Web 2 world, the funding was supposed to come from a VC who would be having equity of your company. Okay, so that is an equity holder. But here there is no equity holder, there is a token holder, and token holder is both a user as well as an investor. So that's where you need to reserve at least 50% token supply for users. Of course, if it is Bitcoin, then 100% token supply is for users or stakeholders. But at least 50% tokens should be for users. And one more important thing which I have realized, FDV. Today it is a market standard instrument for measuring the value of a project. But friends, FDV is fake, completely useless and irrelevant tool for founders. It may be for others. But if you are a founder, then this is a useless tool. It is a complete distraction. Complete distraction. Because it is a market gimmick used by VCs who come from Web 2 world. Otherwise, for a founder, this word has no meaning, zero meaning at all. Never ever get trapped by a VC who is going to play this FDB game. This is ridiculous game because this is hypothetical. This is speculative. It has no relationship with the product adoption, all those things. This is a Web 2 gimmick. It has nothing to do with Web 3 because in Web 3, your token circulation and your current price is the real value of your project, even it is less than 100K. If you are a founder, then you must learn to stand on truth. And if this is the truth, let it be. Never ever expose yourself, exhibit yourself that my project FDB is 20 million, 50 million, 500 million. You might do it. In short term, it might look very, very attractive. But after few months, few years, you will realize this was fake, useless, irrelevant, at least for founders. And I'm very, very strongly suggesting all of founders here, never ever focus on this. Focus on this. How do you calculate Bitcoin's value? Do you ever calculate Bitcoin's value, current price into 21 million? Never. If it is true in the case of Bitcoin, then why it is not true in the case of your own project? Because market value is derived from adoption. Adoption decides the price over long period. And your current token circulation into current price is what is the true value. Okay, so if users are not sticking with your project, don't think VCs would stick with you. For them, it is a casual hookup. They will come, they will go. They will move to another one. So in that sense, if you want to be a founder crypto entrepreneur who wants to survive long, then your token economics should be designed in such a way that you are not releasing full token supply in short duration. Your token issue schedule should be at least 10 years or even more. And if it is less, then it should be connected with user adoption or stakeholder activity. And if you're not doing these things, then sooner than later, you may repent. And these sustainable token economies and their principles should also take into account other bandwidth range options within token economies. And if you are managing that within the sustainability model, then you will be able to survive far, far longer. And the first major rule, I won't say principle, but rule I would say here is it should be the token launch should be after the product, and particularly token issuance should be aligned with product growth. Yes, people say airdrops should happen. Yes, airdrops should happen, no doubt about that. I don't deny that. But delay them as much as possible. And even if you're doing airdrops, spread them as much as possible. And I'm going to finish within the next 2 to 5 minutes. So this is the last slide. So the most important thing which I would like you to focus on is platform revenue. How much Polygon is earning on a daily basis? How much Ethereum is earning on a daily basis? Their major fees is coming from transaction fee. Okay. So if you look into that, then that figure might look a very small figure. But don't deny that figure. That figure is very, very important, because ultimately platform revenue will become the defining principle of even token economies in near future, because platform revenue will also be in tokens. So if it is a circular economy, then that revenue, I'm not saying profit, revenue. So platform revenue is what should be your goal. So if let's assume you have released only 10% token in the market and token is undergoing a circulation, then naturally price will be determined by supply and demand. So if supply is low and demand is high, price will shoot up, which means your token revenue will shoot up, even if your base is narrow. But if you have released 90% of your token circulation, then you might not be able to get that kind of a thing. So that's why your platform revenue should be the focus. And if, let's assume, you have planned for, let's assume, 1 billion tokens, and you're realizing that this token number is a large number and I'm not getting that much adoption, then you should have option for token burn. Burn the tokens. They're not needed. If 200 million tokens are enough, then burn other 800 million tokens. Because ultimately, society, the market, the community would tell you what should be the right number of tokens for your project. And choose those VCs who behave like community stakeholders. Let's assume there is a VC who wants to fund you for, let's assume, $100,000, and you are a protocol project. Ask that VC to become a validator, so that vesting is also there and stake yield is also coming there. If that VC is not interested in becoming a validator, then it means VC is interested more in pumping and dumping. So founders should design certain value parameters which can take care of their long-term future. And those VCs who become community partners or revenue sharing partners, they would survive very, very long. I will stop here. Open for questions.
Great, awesome. I mean, thank you so much, Sunilji. There were a few things that I also learned today, and I'm hoping the same for all our participants as well. I really like the way that you actually brought out some great projects and analyzed their token markets to and plan that they have created, laws, the economics that they have made. The floor is open for questions. I did find one question in the thing. Yeah. So, is there anyone who wants to ask a question? You have to raise your hand, and probably we can bring you here. There was somebody called Pratik Vijay. Okay, Pratik has a question to ask. Pratik, I'm asking you to unmute yourself, and then you can ask a question to Sunilji. Pratik, you
Hi,
are
Sunilji.
unmuted.
Can you hear me, Sunilji?
Yeah, I can.
Hello, sir. Um, so could you talk please more about the stakeholder activity here? Uh, Especially, let's say, if somebody is trying to have a marketplace token and real world assets around and already are thinking in terms of, mm, starting with a short supply and using the revenue, like cycles of revenue to increase the supply or, let's say, drop value into the community pool, which one would you suggest, like around the stakeholder activity?
Okay.
How could this play out?
Okay, Pratik, let me exemplify this scenario. Let's assume that we are building decentralized version of OYO. Okay. Now, in decentralized version of OYO, who are the stakeholders? The number one stakeholder is the hotels, restaurants, and resorts, or even some houses. Now, these are the primary stakeholders, then users. Now, in this particular category, every stakeholder must have some performance metrics. And if you connect your token issuance with the performance metrics of your stakeholders, then you will be able to release token issuance in such a manner that the overall revenue share, overall the revenue of the network is growing. For example, let's assume that in this kind of a decentralized version of OYO, these stakeholders are very critical stakeholders, and you can easily say that up to one third of tokens can be reserved for this stakeholder. One third can be given to, or 40% can be given to users, and then rest for advisors and founder and some other activities. But broadly, in this kind of a model, stakeholders uh, are hotels. But if it is, let's assume a case of where uh, layer twos are there, where decentralized sequencers are there, then it will keep changing. So I will be able to answer this question in a way where context is there, and you have to identify your stakeholders, how critical they are. You have to measure their importance in terms of their contribution. Okay. So I'll go to next question,
Sure, sir.
Karan Gill.
Yeah, hi Sunil sir, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so sir, my name is Karan and I'm founder of Swapso. So basically in Swapso, we are building a decentralized education system. As we all know that education system faces a lot of problem with corruption, with delays, right? With high interest of education loan, etc. So in Swapso, basically I'm also designing my tokenomics. I had a thought about that, and that's why I take this session. So during your session, I thought that if we plan tokenomics according to the users, let's say we create an ecosystem, and in that particular ecosystem, we have multiple products. It might be fintech product, it might be user product, right? And we plan tokenomics according to user, like how many unique users we have, that many tokens will be unlocked, right? And we can like distribute those tokens upfront, that the community airdrops have 20%, VCs have 30%, team have 20%, but those tokens will be unlocked with the growth of particular platform. How that looks according to you, and like what are your suggestions about?
See, Karan, the issue here is whatever you have told me, it is basically a standard thing.
Yeah,
People will have 20% for founders, 30% for VCs or something else, all those things. This is fine.
correct.
The issue here is what kind of product adoption map you have in mind, and what kind of product adoption map the VC has in mind. The problem for founders is that if they are thinking that they will be able to reach their targets within 3 years, a VC would be thinking that they would be reaching their targets in 8 years.
Okay.
This kind of disagreement is never revealed. Because of that, this mismatch of expectations, generally VCs over extract their token share, and that's where all kinds of pump and dump kind of activities happen. My actual counterpoint to your question is that what is the time duration, time based adoption map of your product, which you have in mind? What are the performance metrics within your own project which you have designed? Have you built performance index of your project where you can show me 5, 7, 8, 10 parameters? The issue here is if you have a performance index and you have listed your token issuance schedule in relation with performance index, then I'm with you. But if you don't have a performance index, you don't have a time based mapping of your token issuance, then you might fail anytime.
Yeah,
I
get it.
just I just want you people to do a bit more deep dive and build a performance index. Yeah, Saurabh.
Yes, thanks.
Hello, sir. Thanks a lot for this session. I mean, got to learn a lot of new things over here. So my question is mostly related to, how you see the token economics of Web3 gaming, right? Because so far I have understood that in Web3 games, the supply side is pretty sorted, right? They offer tokens to players who spend time into the game, but the demand side mostly comes from investors, not from community. And is it one of the reasons, that we see Web3 games dying, or how do you see what should be the ideal way for Web3 games going forward? Thank you.
Okay, see, friends, the thing here is games are games. Games are never Web 2, Web 3. First of all, if though for a investment category we have created a something like Web 3 gaming, but games are games. People will play video games or animations just because they love it. If that kind of logic is established in the market, then there will be demand for tokens. For example, my son plays Fortnite. He has been using Sony PlayStation for the last 6 or 7 years, and he buys V Bucks. He on his friends' birthdays, he actually gives them gift of V Bucks. So the point here is video gaming is a much larger industry than even all OTTs like Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and others combined. So if Web2 gaming has succeeded in such a big way, then the same should be true of Web3 gaming. So it means somehow the gaming projects have not been able to capture the attention and energy of users. That is the important question because I personally feel that gaming is such an addictive thing, and if you are able to solve that attraction, usage, that kind of a thing, then people will definitely pay. Because if you don't uh, play this logic, then sooner than later, your product would be owned by VCs, not by you or the community. So if playing in Web3, you end up like a Web2 player, then practically VCs would be owning your product, not you. Yeah, Neera Bose.
Hi, sir. So, thank you for the wonderful session. So, basically, we are building a DeFi protocol, and my question is like you highlighted performance index, and let's say like during the bear market, all the DeFi activities, TVL, and overall user growth will be literally crushed. So, let's say if I have a performance index which is mapped, and next bear market hits, which is not aligned together, then how do we maintain the token economics, and what should we keep in mind before planning this?
See, the fact here is DeFi is a business ecosystem which should have at least 10 to 20 years of time horizon. Why I'm saying so? Do you know ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank, which became banks only in around 1995? They were non-banking financial companies prior to that. And their biggest growth period happened after 2005. And today, HDFC is around 8 trillion rupees market cap company, and almost equally close is ICICI. So if you look at these big projects, they have a time horizon of at least 50 years. Okay, at least 50 years. And they are yet not in this $100 billion category. They're close, but yet not in $100 billion category. If you think, and this 90% of this value has emerged in last 15 years. So which means first 35 years, it was very, very slow. Now apply the same logic on DeFi. Let's reduce the number of years from 50 to 30. And within 30, you say that for first 20 years, you will grow at a moderate growth rate, and for next 10 years, you will grow at a very, very fast pace. Now, if you take this logic, your token issuing schedule should be at least designed for 30 years. Have you designed it for 30 years? That's my question.
Okay, this is a very good point. I mean, definitely not for 30 years. So maybe we'll definitely rethink the token economics.
See, Neera, the point I'm trying to say here is that value creation is one of the toughest thing in the world. And value comes ecologically, slowly. First, it takes slow, and then it comes through a quick growth. But there is a very organic relationship with slow growth and quick growth. The problem with crypto people is that they don't relish the principle of slow growth. When you don't relish the principle of slow growth and you just want to go big bang 100x, then after 100x, I have shown you 5 great projects, not bad projects. And if those 5 great projects can have bad token economy, then average or poor projects will always have poor token economics. So it means they would just die out. The issue here is why Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It doesn't have a founder. It doesn't have a marketing team. It doesn't have a social media handle. Despite that, it is great because it has a token issuance schedule over 140 years. And in your case, you should have at least 30-year long token issuance because and have guts. If you take this scheduled token issuance schedule to a VC will first laugh at you. And you should accept it with honor. If you say that I am here for a full generation, then that VC will respect you. If you want to get respect, get ready to be laughed at. Okay?
Agreed. Thank you so much.
I really like that idea, sir, Sunilji, when you said that you should actually start looking at the timeline for your tokens. It's probably something that I've already spoken to you about it. Is the ethos that we work with at Pivot is that when you start looking at the thing that you've created for yourself, the startup that you're talking about, the startup should be looking at not like a project. It should look like a business, and a business should always be thought in the form of decades. So I'm probably talking the line that Anshul normally uses when he converses about people, that when you look at your own work that you're doing, your own creation, your own startup, start looking at it as a business. You're creating a business for a very long term,
Yeah.
3 years, 5 years, 10 years, in decades. Start thinking like decades. And that is what, that is when people start getting a buy-in into whatever you are creating for yourself and for the Web3 industry. Yeah. Any more questions, guys? Would love to, have any questions. If not, then I think we could probably thank Sunil ji in spending so much time. I'll wait for 10 seconds for any hand raise.
Sir, I have one last question.
Yeah, Pratik, please.
You mentioned something about our projects having at least a shell life of 30 years, 50 years. Uh, what would be the reason? Like is it just market adoption that you say that now we don't need as big of a life cycle as Bitcoin, or any other metrics fall in place here?
No. See, I don't want to say that 30 years should be standard. No, not at all. Not at all. See, the point here in India, there is Pizza Hut, there is Domino's, there are multiple Pizza Hut pizza players, but there are pizza players which are very popular in their own locality. They are still successful. The point here is, what is your vision? Your vision is saying 1 million users, 10 million users, 100 million users, or what? The issue here is, I have not seen enough number of founders who can actually say something substantive on this thing. Second thing is, I have not seen even a single crypto founder who has talked in terms of performance index. A project should have its own performance index instead of people going to coinmarketcap.com. A project should show its performance index on a daily basis, in a real time basis. Because the issue here is that we have yet not built sufficient internal guidance maps. And remember, community people don't see, they don't, they can uh, forgive your failures, but they can't forgive your falsehoods. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you have a performance index which says that you had A, B, C, D, let's assume you had 10 parameters. On out of 10 parameters, in two you got 90%, but in two you got 10%. Make a report card. Take the entire report card to your community. Let them evaluate you. If they will say you scored 90%, wawa, yes, they will also say very bad on 10%. Make your community your teacher. Teachers can be harsh, but they still love you. Same is applicable on community.
There's another hand raised by Ali.
Ali, yeah, Ali,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. Please go ahead, Ali. You're unmuted now.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yes, Sonny, it was very nice session. So I have a question for the project like ours. So we are creating a project for transforming the global trade from traditional practices to the fully digital environment. So in this type of project, when your main users are B2B type of users, but still you need the token holder from the retail and so on as well. So in that kind of scenario, what do you think would be the best for the tokenomics?
Okay, Ali, this is a great question, but this has a very, very big span. But whatever information I do have, so I can basically answer based upon that. First and foremost thing is that we are about to enter in a very serious global splintering of trade channels. This has already started happening thanks to Russia-Ukraine war and Israel-Palestine war, all those things. So anything related with global trade, we should have at least a time horizon of 30 to 40 years. Number one. Number two, instead of looking at entire planet look at zones. For example, Asia can be zone, Middle East can be zone, South Asia can be zone, Africa can be a zone. So instead of saying yourself as a global trade zone or a global trade project, basically figure out those zones where you think you can actually grow with much, much more peace. So, in that sense, that particular choice has to be made. Second thing is that whenever you are talking of global trade is a multi-dimensional uh, thing. It has lots of moving factors inside, and I will have to look into much detail before making a very specific remark. But broadly, I would say that this is a world which would happen because my understanding here is that we are going to adopt token economies in a very big way. If you just go around 150 years back or 200 years back, global trade was there. Multiple currencies were there. Plurality of payment methods were there. When fiat currencies would die, token economies will take that place. So, in that sense, tokens are going to survive, and not only survive, they are going to thrive. But you have to identify major stakeholders within a peaceful zone. And if you are able to manage that, then I think over a period of 30 years, you can easily say that yes, this is the area where my token price will not crash and it will keep on growing. Just imagine your project in a way that this project is its token price is rising 20% every year. Every year. Don't think of 20x, 10x. Just assume a scenario where your token price is rising 20% every year for 30 years. And then you see the magic of compounding. Okay?
Yeah.
So release tokens in such a way that this 20% price growth can be ensured.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. Really appreciate. Thank you for all the other who asked the questions. I'll wait for 5 more seconds for any more hand raise, and then we will probably, close this. Okay. I think we are through with this masterclass. Sunil sir, I think it was one of the most amazing discussions that I've ever had on token economics. I do talk to Anshul also a number of times. For the others, Anshul Dheer is the founder at Pivot, an amazing person who understands token economics like the back of his hand, finance like the back of his hand, and I learn a lot from him as well. And something new I learned again from Sunil today. Sunilji, thank you so much for taking our time for this masterclass. I'm sure we'll have more such sessions coming on for the team from our side as well and from the others. Any last words, Sunilji, for the entire participants?
So first of all, Shantanu, player is mine. It was great interacting with emerging crypto founders of the century, and I wish them all the best for making it great via 0x pivot acceleration system. And since this is a world where collaboration is the real way where peer-to-peer learning happens. So to be honest, I don't regard myself as a teacher here. I basically regard myself as a peer-to-peer collaborator. And in that process, some things are shared, some learnings are shared. So that's what I have done, and I'm very happy to be part of this enterprise that you people have started. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sunilji. Really appreciate your kind words. Yes, that's something that I probably will take it from here, which basically means that we basically need to be more peer to peer and more collaborative than we usually are when it comes to the entire world of. We do have a lot of competition, and we also have a lot of what we call very healthy discussions around crypto economics and tokenomics and the way that people, are building things around. Phenomenal things are being built around. We've had interaction with so many startups over the past about 6 months of our operations and beyond that as well. So I think it's phenomenal to have people like you contributing to Rex Hub. And we will look forward to seeing all of you and many more people in the future masterclasses that we're going to have. We plan to have at least 2 every month. It all depends on the availability of fantastic, masters and mentors like Sunilji and other places. And we've been talking to so many people, and we're going to see many more coming across. Thank you very much for your time. I'll just take 2 moments here to take a snapshot of this, this wonderful audience that we have. Yeah, that's it. So thank you so much, Sunilji. Really appreciate your time. Really appreciate the time for everyone else. Have a good day wherever you are, and have a great weekend, all of you. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.